Well, hello everybody. Good morning. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I have an interesting video for you. Behind me I have the RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme, and my objective of the video today is to share with you how I'm going to mount this press to this bench. Now when I built this bench, it's all 2x6 construction, and I left a 1-inch overhang on the bottom here by my hand. Now I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you a few of the tools that I'm going to use for this process. Now, first thing I have is a tape measure, nothing crazy. I don't know if I'll even use that. I have a carpenter's pencil. I have a cordless drill. Obviously I have the press. I have 2 drill bits, and these are long drill bits. I think this is like 1/8 inch, and then this thicker one is a 5/16. These are long drill bits because here in a minute I'm going to measure the distance from the bottom to the top of the table here, and we're going to get that distance. So we need that long drill bit to go down. I have 2 long 8-inch bolts. These are 5/16 standard bolts with fender washers on the top. They also have fender washers on the bottom, and below the fender washers I have lock washers, and then I also have the locking nuts. I have a 3/8 ratchet with a 1/2 inch bit, and I also have a small crescent wrench for the bottom so that I can use this as a backup. It's just like that. If you have a 1/2 inch wrench, that'd be fine too. All my tools are in storage for the most part, so I have to use a crescent wrench today. I bought this quite some time ago. I have the handle here. I have the primer catch tray. I have 2 little bags. One of them has the nut that goes on the handle, and it also has the primer arm, I guess you would call it, and then there's the bolt that connects the primer arm to the press. And then in this bag I have the spring and the large and small primer cups. So I'm going to set those aside. Those will be when we're close to being done. And I have the press right here. So obviously I don't need the primer catch tray right now either, so I'm going to set that hardware. I'll just put it back in the box for right now. I'm going to take this nut, I'm going to thread it onto the handle. Just like this. And we're going to thread that onto the press. Now, I want a right-handed orientation, so I'm going to set the press. And now this press is really cool because when the linkage operates, it is flush. So you can see this right here where my finger is would be the edge of my bench. So when the linkage operates, it doesn't go into the bench at all. It stays flush even when it operates. Again, I want it for right-handed operation. So I'm just going to thread this on. When I get down where it's fairly tight, I'll use my crescent wrench to make that final adjustment on that nut. Some people think that that nut goes on the back side, but it don't. It actually goes on the top, like right here, just the way I'm doing it here. So there we go. We have that baby installed. It doesn't go on the bottom because there's not enough meat. So now let's take a look at the bench. So I'm going to set the press right here where I want it. And what I've done is I've taken the pencil and I've drawn a line on both sides. This is where I want the press mounted. And I made a little mark. So hopefully you can see those. See that right there? Now what I've done is to determine where I wanted to mount the press, You see right here where I have the first row of joists underneath. Well, what I did was I measured from the edge of the press all the way here on the edge of the pole. I measured the distance, which was 35 inches, to this row of screws here, and I went half of that. So half of 35 was around 17 and a half or something like that. So that's how I determined that that's the location that I want to mount this press. Plus it looks like a good convenient place to put it. Now if I measure from the top of the deck all the way down, I'm looking at around 7 1/8 inches thick of material. So what I need to do is I want to drill my holes down, straight down. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. That's going to be the first hole. Okay, that hole came out perfect. The other one was barely off center. So I'm going to take the press and I'm just going to set it right down there. I'm going to take the first bolt with the fender washer, and it looks like I'm going to need a block of wood or something to knock it down, so bear with me, folks. I don't have a hammer here. All my stuff is still in storage. So I'm dealing with some limited stuff. Okay, my bolts were not long enough, and that was the longest bolts that they had at the hardware store. So what I want to do is I want to make a little mark right here, and I'm going to cut out a small section of wood. Nothing crazy, but I'm going to go maybe an inch past the bolt on each side, and I'm going to cut out a small, tiny little section of wood, so that it'll give me something that I can attach my fender washers and my bolts to. So I'm going to cut out this small section, and that should help out. Something like that. I don't have my chisel here. The chisel's actually in storage, so I'm just breaking off these little pieces here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this bolt here. Run it down a little bit. Maybe something like that. Then I'll lift the washer and I'll just kind of lay the press right into it so that I can come over here on this other side and start running this bolt down as well. Same thing. I'm just going to use my so I got my block of wood. Looking good. This press is going to be nice and solid, I can assure you of that. Oh nice, yes, I've got plenty down below. I want to put a fender washer followed by a lock washer, followed by the lock nut. So there's one side. Make sure I got that threaded correctly. There we go. Let's do the same thing here. We have a fender washer followed by a lock washer and a lock nut. There was a little bit of sawdust on the threads, so it kind of makes you feel like you're cross threading even though you're not. I'm going to take my crescent wrench down below. Let's start on this inside one. Yep, and you can see everything just sucking itself up. Looks like it's working pretty well. This thing already feels tight. And I haven't even done anything yet. I haven't even tightened it down yet. It feels solid already. There we go. One more maybe. Well, that feels pretty good. Let's do the same thing here. Now we're nice and tight. That feels really good. And we're just going to give it a little bit more tightening from the top. Doesn't have to be gorilla tight. Just like that. Nice and tight. That is very sturdy. That ain't going nowhere. There's no flex in this thing at all. This thing is mounted very solid. The whole bench moves. That press is now firmly mounted. Here is my primer arm and attachment bolt right there. Set those aside. And in this bag we have the large cup and the small cup and the large punch and the small punch. Something like this. You push the spring back and then you thread this baby onto this arm. So they use like finish nail or something through there. Small drill bit, 1/16. Hopefully that'll fit in there. So there we go. So what that does is that gives me something to use as a lever to tighten that thing in. Now I've got the spring and the cup together, and the way the primer arm mounts is it mounts just like this. You just thread that baby right onto the press, just like that. It doesn't have to be crazy tight because this is going to flop out of the way when we're not using it, flop in when we do use it. So in fact, I don't think the bolt lets you go too tight. So now that press is ready to go. Just like that. Nothing too crazy. And I'm going to put these guys in a baggie, and that's going to go in the box that the press came in. I think it goes right there, something like that. Which honestly, on the rock chucker, I think that piece is a joke. The rock chucker likes to spit primers everywhere. Well folks, I want to say thank you for joining me today on this video, this quick video on how to securely fasten the RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme to our newly built reloading bench. We also attached a primer arm with the large cup on it, and I hope you got some good useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave your comments down below, like this video, share this video, and if you like the type of content that you see on my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And until next time, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll talk to you later. This thing is solid. It ain't moving. It's secure to the bench, without a doubt. See you later. I'm excited.